made quite a few videos in the last little while, but there's always something happening. Either it blows up and airs out, or I don't know if I gotta restart my computer every morning because it gets glitches in or what. I don't know what it is. But anyway, um, on Friday yesterday, it was the 12th of December. You can see it opened down. So it went from here, closed here, opens down, and stays above VWAP, but obviously because it didn't have enough volume, it falls off a cliff under VWAP. And I can't show you the ES10 doesn't have enough. Uh, well, the trading view only gives you so many hours because there's so much data in this. They only let you have, see, this is 9 o'clock, 9:03, and so this has all been erased because there's too much data. So anyway, um, as you can, well, this is 9 o'clock, so you can't really. Let me go to the 100T and see if one of the big things is the ES1 leads into leads directly into everything else, right? Because it's the highest resolution, so it's where it starts out and where it goes, everything else will follow. And the VWAP on a 10 tick, 100 tick, or 1 minute chart on the X, they're all different. So you got to watch out on the 1 minute. Obviously, we opened down, we stayed above VWAP here. The VWAP is the dotted white line. It's no longer blue. I had to go to white because you couldn't see it in my charts. Anyway, it opened down, working its way up, and then all of a sudden it falls off a cliff. And whenever it's working its way up here, it's not well defined. The Elliott waves are not very well defined right now. I think because of the volume. Unless you get to like to the end of the day right here, where they're pretty consistent. You know, but on a 1,000 tick chart right now, they're kind of malformed. But anyway, you got to watch on the 1 minute SPX, whether it's on top or whether it's bouncing on or bouncing below, like right here, the VWAP. Because once you hit VWAP, you're falling off a cliff, or you already fell off a cliff here and got under. So we were above, and you would think the day would just continue up, but obviously there's no volume, not enough buying volume to keep it up, so it plunges. Right here, you need to make an order on a strike chart so that you can actually catch that, and you make it so the order is like halfway down this candle. So on the other chart, you just kind of calculate, okay, if this thing drops because and goes and turns everything into a down day, especially if you feel or hear bad news, it's a terrible day, but it's going up. You got to be thinking it's going to reverse because it's going to be a down day, or just the fact that it's a good place to really have an order in case it does fall below. You could even put it below where VWAP would be on this SPX chart, but in correlation with your strike and what you were trading. Because then, as you probably know, the market fell off a cliff all day long. And this is what you want to catch, man. If if you can catch this, if you can get started, even if you just got, who cares if you got in underneath VWAP right here, right? That's like 68, 89. This thing went down, and there's always three big waves, at least. And then sometimes, like down here, there's a fourth, the L8 waves. So even if you got in down here and you got the whole thing, you'd have an $80 move right there. But you're not going to stay in. These pullbacks just drive you insane, and they're very hard to stay in. And so I've been using the 10 tick chart to watch, and the 100 tick chart, because if the 100 tick chart's under VWAP, then it's going to stay under VWAP on the 1 minute. So you use the 10 and the 100 to tell you where this is going. When it gets back up here, see right here, if you look at this, okay, it came down under VWAP, comes back, bounces off VWAP, but it didn't really, it did bounce off there. You can see the correlation here, and if it's the resolution's higher on the 100, right? So if you see this coming back up and it's hitting all the different, like it likes this green EMA, which I think is the, let me see what that is. It likes the green 263. It will bounce off of 263 quite a bit. I don't know why, but it just does. And as you see, as it comes in contact, it bounces down here. But then the next time it bounces up, bounces down, hits the 50. This is all the consolidation and what happens, and you can actually follow this along. But as you can tell, too far. As you can tell, as this comes up to its VWAP and goes back down, because you got a lower low here, but you got an equal high here. So this will tell you it's a lower high, lower high, lower low, lower low, lower low. You can figure out whether it's bouncing right here and whether it's going to cross back up, because a lot of times, well, not anymore. This Elliott wave stuff, if it goes down, it's gonna keep going down, and you might as well just ride it down. The best thing to do is get in somewhere at this candle and ride it to here. When you see these four Elliott waves here happen, get out. Or I've been using the reverse button, which is, I can't make a trade on this. My reverse button. So if I do an order right here and you actually get that to execute, you'll have a little button right here that's a reverse button. And that reverse button, you get in here and you watch CES to make sure it's staying under VWAP, even here, down to here. Watch the Elliott waves. You can stay in here if you just trust that these Elliott waves are going to happen, and there's going to be pullback back into VWAP or one of these moving averages, and then it's going to go down again. And I mean, these will one, two, three, four. There's 5 minutes there that will shake you to your core unless you're looking at the 100T and the 10T to see that it's bouncing off VWAP and don't worry about it. And then you get over here and you see this red order block come into play and it falls off a cliff again and starts its see these Elliott waves going down. These are not well formed Elliott waves, but you can tell they're waves, right? They're wave, down, 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 down. And so you just, if you can get through this pullback right here, this strong pullback, and actually get yourself to like right here, somewhere right here, I got in. Somewhere right in here, I got in because I saw 2 or 3 touches, 1, 2, 3, 4 touches on the VWAP, and thought that thing is it's gonna go down. It's gone down every day. I've watched this thing. It's gonna go down. So I got in somewhere in here. I don't remember where it was. I'd have to look on the other strike chart. But next thing you know, it starts falling off a cliff again and down and down and down. But then you you come up on this pullback and you go, oh my God. And that's what happens here is this pullback, right? Boing back up. So I've been playing with my reverse button. So if you're buying the put here, if you get in here and buy the put, which means it's going down, or the put's going the price is going down, but you're buying it, so the value's going up, right? And then you reverse it right here when you see this reversal. So somewhere in this, if you look from this candle and that, see where the cursor is on the bottom right there? Somewhere in that candle to that candle to that candle. And that's what from here, 74. That's like $8. It's like 4 to 8, somewhere in here. 75 to it's $5 somewhere. So from these 3 candles, from there, 872, 66. So that's $6 movement from here to here. So somewhere in here, and it's mostly going to be here on this candle after this lower low, and you get the higher low. So from somewhere in here, so you can see my cursor now. Somewhere in here to there to there, you're gonna push that reverse button, and I don't know that looks like that was a lower low, but then it didn't mark a higher low. But anyway, comes down, reverse. So you're now selling the put, right? So the price is going back up, and you ride it until you see it bounce off this average. And then you reverse again, which is like right here. So this isn't very long. This is only like 1, 2, 3 minutes. Then you reverse again. So now you're buying the put again, and the price is going down, and it continues to fall off a cliff. But then if you know one Elliott wave, this is the second Elliott wave. Now you know there's going to be at least a third, fourth, and fifth probably in this whole sequence. You just stay in. So you bought, you may not even reverse on this one, but you could probably tell because it's going back. You know, there's really nothing on the 1 minute, but on the 100T, it likes that green line. So if it's bouncing off there and then going back down, you pretty well be assured it's going down. Then you just watch it keep going down, but all these pullbacks will really test you and whether you want to, because you really should get in here and get out here. Get in here somewhere and get out here. But they're hard, if you look down here, look how far this thing's fallen off a cliff over here. See that? It's freaking falling off a cliff. Boom, 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 boom. And then this long pullback, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 12, 15, 8. That's 20 minutes worth of pulling back. Right in there somewhere. Okay. In here, you could probably say, okay, that's bouncing off the 50, but you're also bouncing close or bouncing underneath the VWAP. So you know it's going to go. If you're not getting over VWAP here, you're not getting over VWAP on the 1 minute. So just the fact that this is not pulling back into the VWAP, it has crossed over. That's what you got to realize. On the higher resolutions, you got to go to VWAP, not these moving averages. But this was another. It's there. This is malformed, but this is more Elliott waves, and then this is your double pullback on, but it actually has like a third pullback, maybe even a fourth pullback. So one pullback, two pullback, maybe three, four, five pullbacks. But as long as you know it doesn't get over the 50 here or over the VWAP, if the key thing is if it's not getting over VWAP on the 10, on the 100 or the 1,000 tick or the 15 second, it's not getting over VWAP here, right? So you just watch this. It's nowhere close to VWAP. This double top is a pretty well known, down signal. If it comes from underneath and does a double top, it's usually going down. Not always, but in this down scenario, it really does almost always go down. Then you should get in right here, right? Get in right here and get out way down here. After you see this is malformed Elliott waves, but as you get like, okay, there's one Elliott wave, two, and they're malformed because the first one should be shorter than the second one, and the third one should be shorter than the first and third should be shorter than the middle. So the middle's like 50%, and then the first and third ones are 25%. But that's not always true, and especially now with the volume. But then you go into all these pullbacks. These pullbacks will really test you from hell to high water, and especially when you get see how he gets outside this green band, that's the second deviation off your VWAP. So it's getting further and further away from VWAP. Obviously, every time it does, it pulls back, pulls back, pulls back. down some more, pulls back. Goes down some more, pulls back. But as long as you know it's not getting above the 50 here, it's not going to get to VWAP on the 5 minute chart. So you can pretty much tell where it's going to go and what it's going to do by the 10 tick, and then the 10 tick leading into the 100 tick, because the 10 tick won't be even as close as this is to the VWAP. I wish I could put together some other, or actually just bring in some other. Let's see if I can do this really. There's no way, because I don't have. Let's see if I can pull in 847. I don't think my 10 my 10 tick doesn't have 847. So let me go figure out whether. Okay, here's 11. See how it stayed under VWAP here and kept falling, doing its weird Elliott wave stuff. And this is always a double pullback. You got to know there's a double pullback here, and then it falls off a cliff. And if you can get past this double pullback right here, which is right here, before it falls again, you can really make some good money, because you can ride this down, get out down here at this lower low, the second lower low, and then wait for the pullback to finish and get by this average, and then get back in and ride it down some more. But this is like the third wave, or I don't know. They're so malformed, they're hard to. This was just down and down, down, down. See these double tops? Down, double top, down, double top, down. And then for some reason, 10 o'clock, it pops up and starts heading for VWAP, right? And crosses over VWAP. So now, if you look at this, as it crossed over further here, it's still got a double top, so it goes back down. And usually on a 1 minute chart, the first touch on VWAP, it doesn't go over and continue on unless it really went down. This is kind of a slow fall. If it goes down really fast, it can come up really fast because it creates fair value gaps where there's plenty of orders to be filled. And so when this first comes over here on the 10 tick, and then it comes over here on the 100 tick, and then on the 1,000 tick, you can pretty well be assured if it stays up here. And see right here, you can see I was trying to figure out where this thing was going, and I saw a downtrend right here after this double top, and I'm like, man, it's going down, so we're gonna ride it down some more. And my biggest thing is, once the 10T crosses over its VWAP, you're headed towards the 100 tick crossing over. But usually things touch and bounce off and come back up before they go back up. So it's not the first touch. See this, there's one touch, but it hit this average. Goes over the average, so it's working itself up. Obviously, in this massive, if you'd call this a pullback, I don't know. That's a trend change, really. These are all pullbacks, but obviously, right here, the trend changed, and now you're headed up. But it's got to have a lot of momentum to get past VWAP. If it didn't have a lot of. I remember this right here because I was like, okay, I think the trend changed, and I saw this This pattern right here is pretty indicative of what happens in the very bottom. If you look at this one, I can pretty much tell you this is not the bottom because it's a single point. It's a single point. It's a single point. It's a single point. If you if single point, single point, single point, this one, that's where you start. When you get a double bottom, that's when you start looking at, okay, are we at the bottom or not? But you can see that there was one, two, three, four, five, pull back, six, they're malformed Elliott waves. They're not nice. It's because there's no volume or the volume's low. But anyway, when you get down to this and you can actually see this lower low and then a higher low and a higher high, and it comes into this and then you get this order block, you can pretty well, once it bounces off of here, you're thinking it's going to go back up through VWAP, but you got to be careful because it's usually going to bounce once. Sorry, somebody's calling me. It's going to bounce at least once, and then it'll bounce again. It'll come up again and test it again. And if it gets over the top the second time, then it'll bounce underneath, and then the third time it'll come up above higher on the SPX. But as you can see, it just died at the end of the day and just piddled out. I mean, there was no volume. So my biggest thing is you gotta learn this, and if you can learn this and know that these single point bottoms aren't the bottom. If you on the 1 minute chart, if you can just get past this and the pullback and stay in, by the time you get, by the time you get down to here, you're like, man, that was a lot of money. I made a lot of money. And then you start going back up. And if you sell the put, if you buy, yeah, if you sell the put, because you were buying the put here or selling the call, well, it depends which way, what you were doing. If you were going up here, this isn't really long enough for the option to adjust. Things weren't even adjusted on the chain yet. They weren't really adjusted out and they didn't really know where things were going by 740. And this thing fell off a cliff. And then it starts going down. So, but the big thing is if it gets under VWAP, it's going to come back and test it. But as long as it stays that far away from that 50 or any of these other EMAs right here, that's why I've got them, because you can see it comes back and respects this one on the bounce, that one both ways. It for some reason it respects them. I don't know why it does, but other people on the internet, you know, they do say figure out what EMAs the stock that you're trading respects and use them. See the this purple line I put in because when everything you won't see it go when everything comes when all the averages start coming together, when they're all right at one point, it will freaking jump up. It's all malformed. Other months, it's been a lot better. These are like malformed candlestick charts for the SPX. It's not normal. But anyway, the 10T will come up and touch VWAP. Then the 100 will touch VWAP, and then the 1,000 touch VWAP, and then the SPX on touch VWAP on the 15 second, and so you just look at the 10 and you know where you're going. You know if it gets over and bounces 3 times on the top of the VWAP on a 10 tick chart and on a 100 tick chart, you know you're going to continue to go up. But as you can see, the 100T only came up and up once and never came back, and it didn't have enough. It was headed back up for another touch, but the day ended. So it was headed back up for another touch, and it probably, had there been enough time and trading would have continued, it probably would have come up and over the top of the VWAP here, which would have brought VWAP up and over here. See how it's coming up? It's coming back up and turning up. It just always goes in this oscillation pattern while it does it. Now, tomorrow or Monday, it may continue. Sometimes it continues right on from here and just, maybe bounces up a tiny bit, maybe down a little bit. But all the averages, once all the averages come together, it can either go up or down. See how the green and the red and the purple and the blue, they're pretty close here. So they're all coming together and it popped down and came back down. So it couldn't hold itself over the VWAP here, but this time, as it comes up, it will hold and get on top. And then once it gets on top, then it bounces off the top. So I imagine you've seen this kind of stuff if you're doing any kind of day trading, Mark, but the, since Thanksgiving, I've used that 10T and the way it moves across its um, VWAP. Oh, here. Let me see. I do have a E and pen chart that will show what. Now, imagine this SPX. Okay, I'm looking at my ES chart right now, and ES10, sorry, and it is at the very end of the day, like right here. Okay, so I'm going to zoom out here, and maybe we do the ES first. So if we look at the ES first, and the ES, you can see it's had multiple touches under. So this right here on a 10 chart, this point right here is already on top of its VWAP. And this has made it come up and go over its VWAP. And then these are all bounces underneath. And then right here, it gets on top. So it's hard to, let me see if I can actually, no, that's on a whole different tab. I'm going to drag this tab. But you can see how the ES10 on the left-hand side is coming over the VWAP, but then it comes underneath and bounces underneath for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then it gets above VWAP right here, and it's on top of VWAP here, but on the other charts, it hasn't crossed over yet. So as long as this continues higher and higher and higher and doesn't come back to VWAP, then the other charts are going to follow it. And see, this is on the 100T tick here, it hasn't even gotten over VWAP, but right here on the 10 tick chart, it is right here. It's over its VWAP. So this is all above VWAP, and that's why they say don't get in until at least this is all wasted. This is all wasted theta right here. And that blue, that's a swing order block, which is in the Lux Algo. I had to turn it on. I'm still learning about that, but it's a really good indicator because this swing like starts the the waves. Oh, it starts the sequence of a whole wave pattern, a whole Elliott wave pattern. So you can see one, two. This is all. These are all screwed up. You probably got a one. But you can see these are still waves, right? They're waves or pullbacks. This is a normal. That's one whole Elliott sequence, if you ask me. Although there's multiple Elliott waves inside larger Elliott waves all the time, gets over here. Right here is where, right here on this third one is where it got over VWAP. Right here. Right here is where it transitioned over right at this blue bar is where it transitioned over VWAP on the 10 chart. So if you look at that and you're say this far away right now on the 100, but you're over the top, you can see how this oscillation pattern is going to go up, and it would have continued, especially off because of these blue swing order blocks. The light blue is in the middle of a wave, and I've figured that out now. And obviously, you don't want to get in the middle of a wave because it's this first part is all wasted theta anyway. If this is coming down, down, down all day long, it gets down here at 11:30 or 1:30 and starts to go back up, it really, especially if it's just keeps falling, if it keeps falling, 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 it hasn't had time for the options to adjust and time to go by to where if you bought that call down at the bottom, you'd make a lot of money. Because this thing just kept falling off a cliff, falling off a cliff. This kind of helped. This kind of helped get the call started to where you'd make some money, but then again, you're late in the day. So that's the other thing. You gotta be really careful about what time it is. Although I think I've actually sent you some videos that show you can make some money at the end of the day if it's if you're doing things correctly. You can you can you can actually make money. Well, if the right things come along and you jump on them, you can make money all day long. But well, not after 1 p.m. though. I mean, it's after one, you got to be really good, and you know that's a whole other can of worms. But anyway, that's what went on Friday. I'll try and keep making videos, and hopefully they don't blow up, or I'll try and um, it's just too if one blows up, it's just too much work to go back and watch the video because especially if I'm trading. If I'm trading, I'm not going back and editing a video to figure out, where it stopped or what when I have sent you videos because okay, that video was good, there's good information, so I just hurry up and send it right then when I get done. But to go back and search through videos for information. It's just way too much time. I don't know how these people who do videos for YouTube sit around and edit all this shit. It's I mean, they must have multiple people sitting around editing videos, just watching it and going back and watching it and going back and watching it, making sure it's the, you know, it's the actual. I don't know, dude. I don't have the time to sit around and edit videos or even go back and try and find information to send. So I've just been kind of relying on, if it gets done, if it didn't blow up and didn't stop recording while I was recording it, then you know there's something good. I'll just send it to you guys. But other than that, I'm not going to go back and edit videos. It's especially by the end of the day, you're pretty tired, especially if you were trading. If you're trading and trying to figure out where this thing is going to stop at the bottom with all this shit and keeping an eye on it, and the 10T, 100T, the above and below VWAP, it's it's you're freaking using your brain all day long, man. It's not very not very physical, but you're using your brain. You need some brain power. By the end of the day, I'm like, I'm done. I'm going to do something else besides do this. So anyway, and it on an up day, crap, I hate that when it does it. On an up day, it does kind of the same thing. Once it gets up, it'll either keep going up for a while and then it'll fall all the way through this whole range. Yeah, I assume you know what I mean by this whole range. By the whole range, I mean the whole VWAP range. It would go up here. The VWAP range is from the yellow line to the yellow line, and obviously it gets bigger whichever way it's going. But on an up day, if you just turn this upside down, and this was an up day, going up, 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 up. A lot of times it'll get up here, like at 12. I call this 12 o'clock because it's come up from 9 up to 12. A lot of times on an up day, it will fall all the way through or fall all the way to the first band here. So from here, it'll fall all the way to here, which is usually around $70 on not today, not this month, because this is only you know 10. This is only $15, and it fell quite a bit. I just inverted the scale here, but a lot of times they'll get it here, and so you see the double bottom here, double top, and you go, okay, it's gonna fall. And so if you got an order placed just under the 50 where it would be on your strike price, then you catch that whole move going down, just like it caught this whole move going down on the down day. But the best thing you can do is catch the big moves. Nah, you want to catch this big move, this big move, this big move, this big move, and you can see how it oscillates around these EMAs and bounces off them. So let's see if you watch this video the whole way. Send me a text message saying, let's see, SPX1 if you watch this video all the way. then I'll know whether I should do more videos or not. Because I've said I've started a lot of videos, and said many different things that now I have to go, oh, did I send that video or not? I have to think about when I talk, when I send a message to you guys, I have to actually think about whether the video that I was making actually got sent or not. And then whether you actually listen to the video is a whole different story. But I mean, I've got probably 100 videos with all the videos that I've done, including the ones you've seen, and they blow up. The the mute button was on while I'm sitting there talking for a half an hour. Oh, that's the worst. It's like, oh my god. Or Mark, like you've commented, I had the news running or whatever, and so I've got I think I've got things down now where I can actually do a video. But then once I got to that point, then it started blowing up on me. So I got to figure out whether I need to restart every morning, which is it's probably a good thing. But my trading views also freaking having problems every so often. It'll freaking this whole tab with 10 charts on it will just restart. It's like, oh my god, if I was in a real trade, that'd be freaking that could be detrimental. So anyway, send me a text message. That's SPX1.